I believe it's Councilor Holmes that is going first this evening.
One by one. Yes, do we have a guest though? Somebody,
I did just see Catherine Friedrich say that she was here this evening for somebody.
yeah, did anybody invite her to speak? Because I just don't want to go if she's waiting.
I don't know. Jay,
Jay, do you want to go?
were you expecting her this evening?
I was not expecting anyone. As a matter of fact, I was going to be canceling and scheduling for next week.
Okay, so you want to just touch base with her then?
Yeah, sorry, Catherine, I'll give you a call tomorrow. I wasn't expecting.
She says, okay.
You want me to go, Kate?
Perfect. No, I'm
No,
ready to go.
Diane is,
I'm
she's
ready
up
to go. Thank
first.
you. Okay, so sorry about that. I just didn't want to cut anybody off. So we'll call Ordinance Election Legislative Matters Committee to order at 7:03. Committee members are myself, Councilor DeSimone, and Vice President Jackson. I do have a few things I'd like to get out of committee this evening. From the docket of May 4th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to amend Ordinance 10-7.3 automated parking fee collection device fees as follow.
Second.
Thank you. We had the public hearing. We are well below other communities in the area where we are going from 25 cents to 75 cents. Who we heard from the administration, this seemed to make sense to me. So I would like to get out of committee and vote for the full council. Do any of my committee members have any comments?
Agreed.
Okay, all those in favor of bringing this out of committee? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That motion passed. Let's see here. From the docket of September 22nd, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the following amendment. Section 7-16, single-use plastic water bottle waste reduction.
Second.
Okay, so this is to make it so that we can't buy bottled water in stores. I do want to get this out of committee. This came down with 11 other amendments, environmental amendments. I do have concerns about this, though. This would basically mean that people can go in a store and buy a soda, but they wouldn't be able to buy bottled water. It's something that I don't think that I'm not going to be in favor of having this pass. But I do want to get out of committee and have it voted for the full council. Do any of my committee members have any comments? Councilor DeSimone?
Yes, thank you, Diana. So I support it. And I wouldn't not support it because it doesn't go far enough. So yeah, it would be nice if it did more, but this is a great place to start. However, having said that, of course, the effective date has now passed. So I would like to move to change that to January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we would be first voting on the amendment to change the effective date. Any other comments about that? All those in favor?
Diana, excuse me, excuse me.
Sorry, Vice
That's
President,
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. Have you read the whole amendment out in committee before this? I can't remember.
And I haven't, but I'm allowed to waive any readings.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So all those in favor of changing the date? Aye.
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 Okay, so that the effective date, if passed, would be January 1st, 2022. And Councilor Blair, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I, like yourself, think it's arbitrary for us to do that on a local level. If that's going to be done, it should start at the state, and there should be a deposit on those bottles. You're being really, really unfair to retailers in this city by doing that. All well and good for the environment, maybe, but our local businessmen have had enough bad time. Water's a big profit item at these small mom and pop stores. It just don't make sense. People that want to buy water, they're going to go to Rhode Island, they're going to go to North Attleboro. Let's do it right. Let's do it at the state level and put a good sized deposit on it. You don't see beer cans on the road, you know, and whatnot, because they're being picked up, those that are thrown out. If there was a 10-cent deposit on those bottles, you wouldn't see any of those out there either. And you brought up a good point. You can go in the store and buy a plastic bottle of soda or a plastic bottle of juice, any other plastic. And there's, though that seems to be all right, but that plastic bottle of water is taboo. I won't be supporting it, and I hope my fellow councilmen look real hard at this amendment and remember the small businessmen and the inconvenience it's going to cause. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call for a vote to have this out of committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This is out of committee then. From the docket of December 22nd, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following ordinance amendment, section 7-17, microplastics and water reduction.
Second.
Thank you. This has to do with microplastic and face wash. I think that a lot of companies are doing away with this, but this is something that I am in favor of doing. Any committee members or comments? Councilor DeSimone?
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. I also support this, although I'm trying to find it. Is the effective date not also an issue on that one as well?
No, that one would need an amendment.
Okay, then I would so move to amend the effective date to January 1st, 2022.
Second. Okay, all those in favor to change the date?
Aye.
Aye.
So that has passed. And then any other comments about the ordinance change? Okay, all those in favor of bringing this out of committee? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. From the docket of September 22nd, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following ordinance amendment, section 7-17, plastic shot bottle waste reduction.
Second.
Thank you. This is, I feel like out of all the ordinance changes, the environmental piece, this one did get a lot of businesses writing in saying that this was a big part of individuals that would be purchasing something from their store and then buying some of the bottles before they left. They felt very upset about this potentially passing. I'm open to kind of hearing from my committee on this as well, or any Councilor DeSimone.
No surprise, I fully support this. I think it's in fact late. So I want to hearken back to the public hearing. Yes, we heard from liquor store owners and I think alcohol distributors, but we also heard from quite a few residents who were concerned about these empty nip bottles being strewn all over the city. And so the danger here of plastic is not only in the fact that people throw it out, it's in the production and the degradation of the plastic as well. Those are both harmful to the environment. So I fully support this for environmental and other reasons. It may also hopefully impact the number of people who are in fact drinking and driving driving and drinking at the same time. I would also want to point out that you may recall there was discussion and I forget where it came from, that excuse me, manufacturers, bottling manufacturers are in fact already working on a biodegradable alcohol bottle. And I believe it is, oh my God, the name just, was it Bacardi? And I can find out before the hearing. But the expected release date of that bottle, I think, is 2023. So things are in process. It's 2021. This is not revolutionary. It's not new. It's not a surprise. So I fully support it. And I think we can either lead or we can follow. I think Attleboro should lead. I think this would be a great place to start. And it would be a nice supplement to all the other great work that we've done recently. So I am fully and wholeheartedly supporting this. I did meet with some of the liquor store owners, with the mayor several months ago, understanding their concerns. But I do think if that biodegradable bottle comes out as it should in 2023, that options will be available. And I also think, lastly, I'm not looking to punish local business owners at all. That's not my intent. But we have to start somewhere. We have to put pressure up if we're going to affect change. It's clearly not happening from the top down. So I think the pressure needs to come from the bottom up, and that these distributors and bottle manufacturers need to feel some heat. So perhaps they will start implementing some of these changes in a more expeditious manner. But if we don't put pressure on them, they'll never do so. What would be their reason for doing so? So I fully support it. That concludes my comments. Oh, one more thing. Effective date's also an issue, and I would move to amend from January 1st, 2021 to January 1st, 2022.
Second. So all those in favor in the committee to just change the date for January 1st, 2022? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, so that passes. So I guess commenting on what you just said and what Councilor Blair said earlier about people just going to like a liquor store in North Attleboro or somewhere else, what are your thoughts on that? That I do want to be a leader in a lot of ways, but I'm just concerned that we're doing something that it's like we're directly hitting businesses in Attleboro versus like an allowing. So I don't know if you have any feedback to that, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, I suppose people are always free to shop wherever they want to shop. If there's an item on sale, they may go to one market or another market. I think that's just the nature of doing business. I don't think, if I remember correctly from the testimony provided by the gentleman in, oh my God, the city escapes me now, where they passed a nip ban. If I remember him correctly, he indicated that liquor stores there did not, in fact, suffer any significant harm from the passage of this, that, people adjust accordingly to change in the community. So I am not particularly concerned. I'm not buying into kind of the fear and the hype surrounding this. I, in fact, think that life will go on. People will get the alcohol that they want, need, and desire in one way or another in any event. And again, I think it's a good time for Attleboro to lead. It's late. It's late.
Okay.
It's late.
Councilor Blair, and then I saw Councilor Dolan too. So Councilor Blair.
Just to repeat myself again, we did hear from the package stores owners, excuse me, and this amounts to about 20% of their net profit. I do believe that somebody that wants to buy a nip, especially younger people, they're going to have the availability to go to Rhode Island, go to North Attleboro, wherever, and buy them. Also, I'd rather run over a plastic nip bottle than a glass pint bottle. And I think that's what you're going to find. I realize Kathleen isn't as old as me by far, but I used to live off Pike Avenue in the days gone by. And there was not as many nip bottles, but there was a tremendous amount of pint bottles, which were glass, that gentleman or that lady going home that didn't want to drink in front of their spouse or their kids would finish it off and it'd be out the window. So you're not going to stop that. Again, this should start at the state level, not the local level. I know it's nice to lead, but sometimes it's a better perspective to follow. And if you want to pressure anybody, pressure our state representatives and senators to do something up there that'll help us without hurting our merchants. Thank you.
Thank you. So one quick thing, and I know Council Dolan had her hand up, but Council Blair, the state, they've been trying to get 5 cents on these bottles for some time, and it hasn't gone anywhere. Like, I feel like when we've waited for them to do things, they're not acting. So what are your thoughts on that?
My comment is, there are representatives and our senators. They should be doing something. Evidently, they're not doing their job. Evidently, they're not serving the voters in Massachusetts by not doing their job. They should be able to pass this up there. If 11 of us here in Attleboro pass it, why can't a majority of the senators and representatives in Boston do something about it? There's a deposit on a beer bottle. Why can't they put a deposit on a nip bottle? That's their fault, not ours, Diane.
Okay, Council Dolan, and then Council Delicio, Kovas, and then DeSimone.
Thank you. I absolutely support this as well. The amount of litter and the amount of nip bottles all over the city is just, it has to stop. It's horrible. When we do the cleanup every year, I mean, there's hundreds of bottles. Every time I, walk my dog, I pick up 10, 15 at least, depending. We did hear from the businesses, and I remember some of the businesses saying that we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll donate for the cleanup. When I did the Attleboro cleanup this year, there was only one liquor store name on the back of my shirt. None of the other ones as sponsors were on there, just one. So I will absolutely support this.
Thank you. Council
Thank
Delicio.
you.
Thank you, Chairperson Holmes. So we keep talking about the drinking and driving with these, but when I looked at some of the police reports, I've never seen a police report that has a nip identified. Do I think it happens? Of course, but I think people drink with beer bottles and everything else. Drinking and driving is a part of it, but to say that it's going to cut down on drinking and driving without facts and numbers, I don't know that that's responsible. If they're talking about a biodegradable bottle coming out in a year and a half, maybe we give it a little bit of time. As far as the state, we spent time with Jim Hawkins this weekend, and they're introducing a bill. Part of what the delay was a little thing called COVID, which really kind of delayed a lot of regular business. We've seen that here. We talked about Chelsea. It was a representative from Chelsea who talked about how sunny it is. The liquor distributor who had facts to provide to say, well, no, that's not the case. They're still down 20-something%. That tells a different story. I think that a ban should be the last option and not the first option. As far as one name being on the back of the shirt, do we know that other liquor stores were approached to participate? Because when I'm out talking to the liquor store owners and other businesses, and look, just because I'm against the timing of this doesn't mean that I'm against the ordinance itself. I think we need to encourage an environment of collaboration between the government and between the businesses. We've seen local businesses already in the city that see the writing on the wall. Instead of telling them, hey, we have to do this as soon as we're coming out of the pandemic, I think it doesn't send the right message that we want to help the businesses, and we need the businesses because, every year we talk about tax classification, and we're so quick to put all the pressure on the businesses and the burden rather on the businesses. We have an opportunity to help the businesses. And even if that's extending this by 2 years, to give them an opportunity, to give the industry an opportunity to come up with something, as Kathleen, you said yourself, they're working on. We also need to talk about those who work for the liquor distributors who live in the city, who are our neighbors and our friends and our kids' coaches, who stand to lose $10,000 to $15,000 a year. I don't know about you guys. I can't take a $10,000 to $15,000 a year because the government wants to ban something without even talking about collaboration. And then we're also hurting those who use it responsibly, those who use it for gifts, those who use it for baking and other cooking needs. So something's got to be done. No one likes the litter, but the liquor stores I've talked to, and they've been in contact with me, and I don't think I'm the only one. They're like, where are we on this? I haven't heard back from anyone. We want to help. We want to participate. A ban should be the last option, not the first option. We should be encouraging collaboration of some semblance and give the businesses in the city a chance to get back on their feet. Because again, Just because I'm not in supporting of the timeline doesn't mean I don't support the motion in general. But right now, I think it's too much too soon. Thank you, Council Holmes.
Thank you. So it's Council Cobus, DeSimone, Vice President Jackson, and then Council Blair.
Thank you, Chairperson Holmes. Just to reiterate what Councilor Delicio was saying, we did spend some time with Representative Hawkins this weekend, and one of the things that he was communicating was that there was a bill before at the state level to introduce a deposit on nip bottles. And one of the things that he was saying was he's never seen a bill before them that had such bipartisan, unanimous support. They had public hearings and everybody was supportive of this. He expected that the bill would have flew through without any issues whatsoever. It's just that COVID happened. It's been reintroduced this year. He expects it to hopefully pass this year. And I'll get that information from Representative Hawkins and send it to the full council through Chairperson Holmes, just so that everyone has that information and is aware of what's happening at the state level. That concludes my comments.
That's good. Council DeSimone.
Yes, thank you, Chair Holmes. Just a couple of things. So I understand that this issue has come up several times at the state level and not succeeded. And I'm wondering, I suspect, if perhaps there's not more pressure from lobbyists at that level to prevent this from happening. Number two, a deposit does not change one of the fundamental facts that I mentioned earlier, that the damage from plastic, this is not just a consumption issue at all. I don't care what people drink at all. Of course, I don't want them driving while they're drinking. This is about the container, not the contents. The production and degradation of plastic is what's harming this environment. Of course, seeing them around town is disgusting and disturbing and disrespectful and not the city I want to live in. But I would emphasize that it's the creation and the destruction of these bottles that ultimately is harming our environment. And I suspect that when the police pull somebody over who may be intoxicated, they're not finding the nips because, in fact, they were thrown out the window. And perhaps what we're finding on the streets when Keep Attleboro Beautiful and all these other wonderful residents who go out on their free time and have to pick up garbage. That's not their job. I don't want elderly people. I don't want poor people. I don't want good-natured and good-willed people. The saving of our environment is not on their backs. If the business makes the profit, the businesses should pay the price. This is not a question of government overreach. To me, this is about us. This is about the consumers, about residents and citizens in the world we want to live in. And I think businesses need to be pushed. They've had time. It's 2021, people. None of this is new. So for those reasons and more, I wholeheartedly support this. We've waited long enough. That concludes my comments.
Vice President Jackson.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. So I agree with Councilor Delicio, Councilor Cobus, and Councilor Blair. I will not be supporting this as well. And it is because of the businesses. It is because this is like really bad timing because they're already hurting. And they're not the ones that have manufactured these bottles. They're not the ones that have chosen that if they're going to buy nip bottles, that this is the kind of plastic they're going to get. This is the kind of plastic they're making. And unfortunately, we're not at that point yet where they're going to manufacture a different type of bottle. I believe that no matter what, those nip bottles are still going to be all over the place. I mean, I'm over here, I'm close to the Rehoboth line. So you have Chartley Country Store, you have Briggs Corner Store. What's the difference? They'll just go over to Chartley and they'll still drive back here to Attleboro and they're going to throw their trash out no matter what, because some people are just slobs and they don't care. So I do not believe this is going to change anything. And I also agree that this also hurts the businesses that have been in trouble already. The restaurants that have had problems, as salespeople, salesmen haven't been able to sell as much as they used to be able to sell to liquor stores. They're catching up probably now. So I just think the whole timing of this is poor. I'm not saying I'm against it. Just like Councilor Delicio said, I agree with him. I'm just saying this timing is not good whatsoever. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor Blair and then Councilor Conti.
Just to reiterate, you're not going to do away with the trash. Using the trash as a reason to pass this is not even in consideration. That trash is going to be out there. As Kate said, they're going to buy them out of town. They're still going to throw them out if they're coming to Attleboro, and it's going to be trash. The only way you're going to stop the trash from building up in the streets is put a deposit on them. That's the only way I can see that the trash situation would be maybe not completely rectified, but it's certainly going to help. Thank you.
Council Conti, then Council DeSimone.
So I don't want to be here till midnight, so I'm not going to reiterate everything that everybody's already said, but I want you to know that I'm in opposition to this measure. I won't be voting for it on the floor. You can do the math. You need 2/3 votes in order to pass a new ordinance. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. So is there any support if we were to change the date and potentially make it 2023?
Yes,
No.
I would move to make it 2023 and put the pressure on the state and on the bottle companies to do what they say they're going to do. So I would like to move that we amend the effective date to January 1st, 2023 to apply the pressure where the pressure is needed.
Second. So do. So this is again, just to change the date to 2023. This would give it two years, give
Year and a half.
year and a half. So this is just to change that date. So I'm going to ask my committee members for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So this passes to change the date. Let's see here. Does anybody have any comments on that, on potentially?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay, so Councilor Delicio?
I respect Councilor DeSimone. I respect your passion. I respect how hard you work on this. I've got to be honest, and with all due respect, I struggle sitting here saying we've got to pressure businesses in the city. I struggle with that sentiment. I understand your overarching sentiment, but we're the government. Why are we putting pressure on businesses that we need as we're emerging from a pandemic? We need the businesses. If we have a mass exodus of businesses, which could happen if we're not helping and working with them, instead of let's collaborate with them. And then if we try to collaborate, we try to work, we try to do something, and they slam the door in our face, then that's a different conversation. But the business owners that Councilor Kobus, State Rep Hawkins, and I spoke to today, like everyone here has said, we understand the nature of this, and we're not opposed to this. I understand that the litter piece of it. I understand the environmental impact. We're pulling them out of the 10-mile river every year. But, it can't we can't allow this to become an us versus them situation. Thank you.
May I just clarify, Chair Holmes? I appreciate, thank you, Councilor Delicio. What I meant was the pressure on the packaging company, the bottlers, and the state legislature. That's what I meant by putting the pressure on. Because if the change is going to come, it's going to come from people who make new bottles or impose a sufficient deposit. That concludes my comments.
Councilor Delicio?
Thank you. Yeah, and I fully understand that, but
Okay.
this pressure, it's not going to hit those people. It's going to hit, County Square Liquors, Yankee. It's going to hit all those folks. It's going to hit the distributors who could stand to lose it because they have Attleboro as their distribution. North Attleboro will get it. Rehoboth will get it. And to Council Blair's point, it'll still come here. I think even extending this one under the hope that Bacardi comes up with something. Well, what about Fireball? What about some of these other companies that might not? It's just going to hurt them 2 years from now. And we don't know where we're going to be in 2 years from a financial standpoint in the aftermath of a year and a half of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the discussion. I think even having the discussion is progress, and just hearing from others. Remember, there were 11 environmental ordinances that came down from the administration, and we passed more than half of them so far. I do feel like we are making some efforts to be a lead here in Attleboro. We also were late to becoming a green community, but then led the way. I don't know if you've seen in the paper, it's like everybody else is now like North Attleboro, like everybody's kind of, so I think that in some ways we have been leaders. And so I think, again, we'll bring this out of committee and then see what happens with the vote, but we can certainly feel good that we have done some things to make some changes. And even the plastic bags a few years ago, like I do feel like this has been on our radar and we've made some good progress. Council Waterman, did you had your hand up? I didn't know.
Ty, you're muted.
I find that I agree with Councillor Kobus and Councillor Blair in the sense that the state is the best way, I believe, is to handle it. And I've contacted both state senators' offices that we have in Attleboro. They're both say it's on the near horizon, and that's how I feel. And so I don't want this to, I don't want to see us sink in all the bottles that we have all over the city, but I believe the best way to do it is with a deposit bill. And that's all I have.
So I will call for a vote to get this out of committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes, so we can talk about it in full council next week. That concludes the business for my committee. We have the public hearing in a week regarding the wetlands, and so I invited one guest that my committee member did ask, but if there's anyone else, I'd like to close that public hearing next week. So if there's anyone else that you would like to hear from, please let me know so I have an opportunity to invite them. So I will call for an adjournment. Oh, Council Blair?
Diana, if you could possibly get it out to the contractors and the builders and landowners, maybe get a little publicity in the paper that this is going to be their last chance, if they already haven't spoke, that next week will be their last chance to voice an opinion. I was very, very surprised with the low turnout last week. I blame a lot of that on the public meetings, the way they're held. I've been a firm believer in public hearings. We're truly not having true public hearings. We might have legal public hearings, but they're not true public hearings. So if you could do something with George Rhodes, maybe we get a headline out there, you know, last shot to give an opinion, because this affects a lot of homeowners as well as construction workers. So we need some publicity to get people to get online and speak. It's like I said before, it might be a legal public hearing, but it's not a public hearing. Thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, I can certainly do that. And then also, I just wanted to remind everybody, there's a folder that kind of looks like this that I did. It's in Virginia's office, and it's labeled with all the letters that we've received, because we did receive a lot of letters and emails. So it's right in her office if anybody would like to review it as well. So I will call for an adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:35. Thank you.
Ms. Vice President, am I up or what?
I never saw the list,
I
Council.
never saw a list, but usually,
So-
Kate, I come
Yeah.
first.
So go ahead.
Okay. Anybody else? There's no other people going to speak, right? No visitors?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes if they're waiting to speak.
Excuse me, 1 minute. Council Blair. Council Waterman, did you just raise your hand? You have a guest tonight?
I have one person yet.
Well, by all means, Ty.
Oh, okay. All right. So at 7:37, I would like to call the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee to order. And we have a lady, Samira Ramos, who is seeking to be on one of our committees in the city. Is she on the line?
She is not.
She is not. Well, I will do the other motions, and if she shows up in the next couple of minutes, please let me know. So from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to accept the donation of a $50 Stop and Shop gift card from Joanne Wright for the Veterans Services Office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I think this is self-explanatory, and we should want to thank Joanne Wright for her generosity. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the vote passes 3-0. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $550 from account 1543100-577210 Veterans Parades to account 1543100-542010 Veterans Office Supplies to purchase a scanner for the Veterans Office.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. There are, the Veterans Department is no longer accepting faxes, and so that is why the scanner is needed. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. The vote passes. And from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of a $20,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts and any other further grant amendments received by the Attleboro Public Library to support the Big Read program activities as authorized by the granting authority. And we are not yet ready to announce the book that will be used sometime in July. We should be able to know that information, and hopefully our library director will be with us in July. So are there any questions about accepting this grant?
You haven't seconded it.
Thank you.
Second.
I appreciate that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no opposed. Vote passes. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $20,743.05 from 6100-578360 Water Reserve for 53rd week to 6100-511000 Water Salary to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll through June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Being a fifth week, we have 3 extra days in a fifth week. So I think it's self-explanatory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote passes 3-0. And from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $26,804.62 from 6000-578360 wastewater reserve for 53rd week to 6000-511000 wastewater salary to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll through June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Vote passes 3-0. And finally, is Samira Ramos on yet by any chance?
No.
She's not on the line. Well, this is a young lady that I spoke with 2 days ago, and she is very excited about serving on the licensing board. She is a therapist at a local business in town near the center. And she basically is concerned, I believe, about the substances that some of her clients imbibe in. And she's very interested in serving on the licensing board. And so I will give the motion. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Samira Ramos, 40 Orange Street, to fill an unexpired term on the licensing board, term to expire February 2023.
Second. Aye.
You have a question? please.
Oh, I got a comment, Ty.
Oh, great.
Hey,
Go go ahead.
This is a pretty important position in Attleboro. And I think you ought to, I know I'm on the committee, but I would hope you would hold this till she can come before us. I have some questions to ask her directly. I mean, this involves people's livelihood too. So I think that anybody applying for that position
Yep.
should definitely come before this council before a vote is taken. So it's not going to hurt for another couple of weeks to have it come. If you're willing to pull it, I'll pull my second.
Thank you. I am willing to pull this motion and reintroduce it again in 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks, Ty. And hopefully, you know, she can come and maybe I'm not speaking against her personally.
I know that.
I just think this particular committee is a real strong committee. And it should be fully vented, anybody that goes on now.
You're welcome. And with that, I would move that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we are adjourned at 7:44, and that concludes the business of the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee for this evening. We'll meet at the next appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. Reporting for public safety and emergency management. Mike Terman, well, I have two motions this evening. From the docket of, where are we going here? From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $9,056.95 from account 1210100-515020, police court time, to account 1210100-530101, police professional services, to install work chairs, workstations, and chairs at the police department.
Second.
Okay, this particular request, I don't know, Mr. Conti might, I don't know if that was on this capital improvement list or not, but those particular units were donated by the Navy, I believe, years back, and they're in terrible situation, terrible. And by doing this, not only will you be able to use that space much better with the cubicles and the new chairs and desks, but it helps with the professionalism of that department tremendously. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any comments or questions, my committee or any other councilman? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Oops. Secondly, from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $80,257 from account 100-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3559 police technology to support operational needs.
Second.
Okay. This is definitely a need if we want our police department to continue to protect the citizens of Attleboro the way they should be protected. This money is coming out of the general fund, which the mayor seems to send us down knowing he's got the money to support it. Part of this, I believe, was on your capital improvement list, Mr. Conti, these three items. So not only that, it'll make your list a little shorter, and it's a good use of the money and much needed. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much for your cooperation, and I want to thank my two committee members, I didn't get a chance to thank them personally, but I know I've been absent for a couple of weeks, not only around City Hall, but the last meeting, so I haven't been able to attend. So thank you, Councilor Delicio and Councilor Kovas, for having my back. Thank you.
It's great to have you back.
Glad to see you feeling well, my friend.
Better.
All right, glad to see you feeling better.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Greetings. I'd like to call the Transportation and Traffic Committee to order at 7:47. I am joined by my fellow committee members, Councilors Conti and Reynolds. I have just two pieces of business this evening from the docket of June 1st, 2021. I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on July 20, 2021 regarding an amendment to Chapter 10 of the revised ordinances to add Section 10-4.19, obstructing traffic and don't block the box intersections.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. I guess we should refrain from any additional comments till the public hearing is held. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Okay, motion passes. From the
Oh.
docket of,
Kathleen,
I'm, s-
Diana has got a hand up.
oh, I'm sorry, Dinah. Sorry, Councilor Holmes.
You're blocked, Diana.
I'm sorry. So we can't, the public hearing hasn't happened?
No, it was introduced as new business last week. It got assigned to a committee, and I actually texted President Cooper earlier today to make sure that this motion was appropriate, and this is what I guess has to be done.
Yeah, we can't have a motion come out if we haven't had the public hearing, can we?
There's a motion for the.
Well, to call the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
This
It's-
motion out and the public hearing is future date. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. As I said, I had asked President Cooper just to make sure I was good. So was anybody opposed? Nope. Okay, motion passes. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on July 2021 to amend Chapter 10 of the revised ordinances by deleting and replacing Section 10-5.13, parking of commercial vehicles.
Second.
Thank you. Again, refrain from comment till after the hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Good. All right, motion passes. Committee members, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns about anything going on in the committee or the Traffic Study Commission that you want to discuss? All right, hearing none, I would move to adjourn the meeting at 7:49.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all those opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
I will call the Capital Improvement City Development Committee to order at 7:49. Sitting on this committee are Councilors Waterman and Councilor Dolan. I have 4 measures to bring before you this evening. The first, from docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $400,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 1124-1000-596 citywide stabilization fund.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021. So I'm happy that it's getting out of the committee tonight. Does anyone have any questions on this measure? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Well, wonderful. Motion passes unanimously. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $23,300 from account 1124-1000-578-300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1175-1000-530101 planning land use professional services to fund a feasibility study on the infrastructure system for Mechanics Pond Dam and Dike.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. This may become more controversial as time goes on. Many of you may not have been on the council back in when the Mechanics Pond dike was constructed out of riprap. There was issues there over who owned the dike. Piece of land on one end of the dike was owned by LVD. The piece of land on the other side was owned by the city. The waterways, riparian rights are typically straight down the middle. So there was some dispute over whether or not the city had some obligations, and there was some holdup over the spending of the money to get the dike constructed. You'll see later on that the LVD, or the remains of the LVD Corporation, now wants to donate that portion of land, which make the dike and the dam the sole responsibility of the city. And the feasibility study is the first step to find out what the infrastructure is going to be needed there to replace the temporary dike that was put in with riprap and put in something that's acceptable to the state conservation department. So 23,300 is the expense. Does anyone have any issues with this motion?
My only thought was that as feasibility studies go, this is rather on the lower end. Am I correct?
You're correct. And it's a damn study. Councilor Blair. You're muted. I can't hear you. You were unmuted. Now you're good.
Okay. I'm glad to see for once we're putting the horse before the cart. So I think this motion's really in the right place and I support it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Council Delissio.
Thank you, Council Conti. I think this is a smart move at this time. We have such an aging infrastructure in the city, and we've talked about it quite often, and especially when you think about what it is that a dam does and why it's so important and what the impact of the dikes are. I think that, as Council Waterman said, this is going to be relatively lower compared to some of the other feasibility studies to come out, but this is one that's really, really important and that we need to stay ahead of.
Councilor Cobus.
I just want to mention that, so I'm incredibly supportive of this, but also want to mention that before the Zoning and Land Use Committee, there will be a couple of land donations, and one of them is for the land in this area. And so just want to mention that these things are sort of tied together. So we'll cover that more in the Zoning and Land Use Committee meeting. But no, I'm incredibly supportive of this. And I think it's strategically important for the city.
Well, thank you. You essentially repeated what I was saying, that there's more of this coming down the pike. Anyone else?
Coming down the river.
I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $500,000 from account 1000-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3558 fire department roofs.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Warden. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021. Therefore, I'm pleased that we're going to get this out of the committee this evening. We've been discussing this for almost 2 months now. We had to increase the amount of money to get the architect and the specs developed for the roof. This is obviously a very important expenditure because that building is becoming a historic building, but it's the headquarters. Councilor Blair, Waterman and Dolan, do you have any questions?
No,
Councilor-
I'm fully supportive.
Okay, Councilor Blair, you have the floor.
Just a comment. I'm strictly against bonding for these things, as we have in the past. I'm glad to see this money is coming out of free cash, general government. So, I'm in favor of not bonding and mortgaging ourselves down the chute. So I actually thank the administration for probably rethinking this and taking that money out of free cash.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $200,000 from account 1000-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3560 public safety assessment facility.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. I believe you all saw the letter from Jeremy. It's eloquently written to the mayor on the public safety needs and assessment feasibility study. Does anyone have any questions about this? Councilor Blair?
As Ty Waterman said, Councilor Waterman said, there's something coming down the pike. It isn't 23,000, it's 200,000. So needs to be done. You know, we need a new public safety building. It's whether or not we can afford one or not. And it is a lot of money, $200,000, to tell us what we already know. So if this was going into a design of a building or whatever, I could swallow the 200 a little easier, but I don't think there's any of us on the council. A needs assessment needs to be done for us to know that we need a new public safety building. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Conti.
You're welcome. Does that conclude your comments?
Yes, it does.
Very well. Then I'll tell you I'm dead set on the opposite side of the issue than you. I'm totally against this. $200,000 for this feasibility study seems completely unreasonable to me.
Well, that's what I said.
And I don't think that this is the appropriate time to do this. That $200,000 should be slid over into capital improvements. Otherwise, in the plan, this could easily wait a year. This could easily wait 2 years. This does not need to be done now. It will not have my support on the committee. It will not have my support on the council. Any other comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Well, I had in mind my comments, but now you're making me rethink my whole approach here, Councilor Conti. I'm generally in support of the idea. I think, like Councilor Blair said, of who wouldn't be in support of having this new a building, if you will, or resource. It is an incredibly expensive amount of money. I contacted Jeremy to ask him about it, especially when we're spending $500,000 on a roof for the existing fire department headquarters. And from what I understand from Jeremy, the thinking is that, this is very much a planning move, that if you don't, you have to start at some point for what may come into fruition years down the road. But the longer you wait to even start the process, the more expensive it's going to get in the first place. So though I do appreciate that it's very expensive, I'm inclined to support it, but I'm certainly open to more consideration and discussion. But I generally like the idea of a public safety building, of course. But I appreciate what your comments about timing. So now I have to really think about it. Thank you, Councilor Conti.
So, Councilor DeSimone, I'm just simply putting my foot down. $200,000 for this study is not needed right now, and that $200,000 should go into capital improvements for the buildings we already have that are not being taken care of, rather than thinking about building another building that we're going to need to take care of. So I want to make sure that that position is closed. I'm sure I'm sounding militant about it, but I've been fighting for increased capital improvement funding in this city for 12 years. And so by denying any further new construction until there is a capital improvement funding for the existing buildings seems very logical and reasonable to me. I just want to make my position clear. Does anyone else have any comments? Councilor Delissio.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, which is why I'm in favor of it. For the reasons you're against it in a lot of areas, it's why I'm for it. I think this is the first step. We're not talking about building a new joint complex within the next 2 years. We're looking 10, 15 years out, if not longer. This is the first step. And when we think about it, we have repurposed the old Elks into the current police station, which was, I believe, constructed in 1922. We're constantly repairing, upgrading, because these are buildings that have a different kind of a use pattern. I think we have to understand, one, and it's right in the title, a feasibility study. I got to tell you, Rick, you and I agree on the capital improvements budget. I really appreciate where you're coming from on this. My feeling is that I think to get the ball rolling, to figure out if this is something we can do and what's the planning of it, I think makes sense. The 200,000 makes me kind of cringe a little, and especially where we don't know what it's going to look like when we actually get to put a shovel into the ground. But we don't have a plan right now because we don't have the understanding of what it's going to take, and that's why I will support this when it comes out. But I do appreciate your vantage point on this, Rick.
Anyone else have a comment? Council Dolan.
So I haven't decided if I want to support this because I agree with everybody about everything that everybody said. I think the timing bothers me. And $200,000 is a lot, but I do feel like you have to start somewhere to get the ball rolling, to know what we're going to need in the future. But if we have a feasibility study and it comes out, yeah, you'll need, $50 million for a new building. How are we going to pay for that? Because we sure aren't going to do an override. So I wonder if the money would be better used elsewhere at this point. But then I know if we kick the can down the road, this feasibility study might be $300,000 the next time that we visit it. So I don't know what I want to do about this. I feel like I need to talk to Jeremy again, but as of right now, I don't know if I'll support this or not. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Well, maybe Councilor Blair will speak for 10 minutes while you can make up your mind, because we're going to be calling for a vote. Councilor Blair?
I'm not going to speak for 10 minutes, Councilor Conti. I leave that up to you. You can handle that 10 minutes much easier than I can. I wouldn't vote for it at this time, because how much are things going to change 4 or 5 years down the line? We don't know what kind of technology is going to be needed, what building costs are going to be, what the needs are going to be then. I wouldn't vote for it at this point. I didn't say I was for it. I said that we all know that it's going to be needed, but I don't think now is the time for the study. Thank you, Mr. Conti.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. Are there any other comments? Councilor Waterman?
Well, I'm sort of in Laura's boat, but this does seem to be a very high price to me. And I would, if nothing else, I would like the administration to consider a smaller figure for this feasibility study and get back to us. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to vote no on this at this time.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. Are there any other questions about this issue? Very well, then we'll have a roll call vote on the docket of June 1st for the motion of $200,000. Councilor Waterman, yes or no?
No.
Councilor Dolan, yes or no?
Yes.
Councilor Conti says no. The motion fails. It will not be presented to the full council. That concludes the business that the Capital Improvements and City Development has this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. All in favor, say aye.
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 I declare the Capital Improvement Committee adjourned at 8:04. Thank you.
To call the Public Works Committee to order at 8:04. I have 2 motions this evening to discuss with you. And since we're talking about feasibility studies, my first one I'm going to bring out is from the docket of April 20th, 2021. I entertain a motion to appropriate $28,000 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 14201-000-530152 Public Works Survey to study the possibility of a sidewalk installation on Reed Street.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So we had the mayor at our committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, so he could discuss with us why he chose Reed Street, and he discussed it at great length with us. As you know, he explained this is a road that he gets the most complaints on, and because we're tearing it up right now, he thought it would be a good idea to do it. However, more than likely, it's going to cost $1 million in sidewalk. I'm bringing this out of committee this evening for a full vote to the council. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Please, Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. So yeah, I had some concerns about this as well, and I still do to some degree, but I do appreciate the mayor's comments and then a follow-up email where he explained the whole process by which he goes through. So yeah, so I'm inclined, I'm going to support it to come out of committee.
Thank you, Council DeSimone. Council Blair?
I'll save my comments to next week. I don't want to take any more time. I think I spoke at length on it last time at the public hearing, whatever.
We
Okay.
appreciate that, Council Blair. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Secondly, from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $33,345 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to the following accounts. $30,145 to account 14201-000-538053 Public Works Trench Repairs, and $3,200 to account 14201-000-538055 Public Works Sidewalk Repair.
Second.
Thank you, Council Dolan. So this is going to be the last time that the trench repair work is going to be funding requested to the Public Works Committee, because from here on end, after July 1st, the water department, because the water department is the one who goes in, fixes the road, does the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. When they're all done with their project, then it's up to the Public Works to come up with a list of trench repairs from the water department, and then they have to go to the city and ask for money. So a few years back, Barry Lacasse back then had questioned that, and he said that doesn't make any sense, because if the water department is actually fixing the trench, and I'm going in and fixing the leak, excuse me, and then why is it up to the Public Works to go and find the money from the city to repair the road? It should all be coming out of the water department. So starting July 1st, that will begin. So I do have a list of all the trench repairs, if anybody would like a copy of it, that Mr. Tyler plans on fixing from this money. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And again, we will be having 2 public hearings for 2 different polls that is being held next Tuesday evening. And that will conclude the business for the Public Works Committee. May I ask for an adjournment?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:09. Thank you.
Again, I just want to reiterate, budget appropriation is canceled tonight, but I am calling for a meeting next week at 6:30. What I'd like to do is start the discussion on the budget message based on what we've already seen from the budget, just kind of a discussion around where do we want to see the direction of the budget message go. Thank you.
Council Delicio, I will not be able to attend the meeting on Tuesday night.
Okay. Any questions, thoughts, concerns you have? Feel free to send through.
I've already had a long conversation with Chief Hegney, and you're going to hear all about it that night.
Great. Looking forward to that.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to call Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 8:09. On the committee is myself, Councilor Holmes, Councilor Delicio. Councilor Delicio, do you mind taking notes?
Not at all.
Perfect. So we have 3 items tonight. All of them are land donations. My belief is the first 2 are pretty straightforward. The third one, we might get into a little bit of a discussion, but let me see if I can share my screen to start. Let's see. Should be that one. Can everybody see that? Well, this is just the motions, but
Yes.
okay. So the first one for the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion that the city accept a land donation on Collins Street, Plat 20, Lot 401 from attorney George I. Spatcher Jr. on behalf of Mr. Antoine Chidiak. The subject property contains a land area of 4.3 acres and is zoned single residence B and industrial. It should be noted that the real estate taxes are current through the end of this fiscal year.
Second.
Motion's in order. So this one on Collins Street, just so everyone can see where it is, it's right here in South Attleboro. Down there. It's wetlands, and the recommendation Despite the relatively small size of the landmass and the fact that it is completely encumbered and saturated by the 100-year floodplain completely encumbered by wetlands and not located within the jurisdiction of the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program Biomap 2 core habitat and on areas of critical environmental concern map and not being contiguous by the municipally owned real estate, I submit that the property provides flood storage control. Based on this reasoning, I submit that it would be prudent to consider accepting the land donation offer as it would afford the city greater control over the land in that low drainage area. And so this is from Gary Arasian. And so and I spoke to Gary about all three of these properties earlier today. I'm supportive of this one. This one seems straightforward based on the flood storage control piece. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Second item. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion that the city accept a land donation located off Augsburg Drive, plat 136, lot number 5YY from attorney Edward J. Casey on behalf of Viridian Development LLC. The subject property contains a land area of 28 plus or minus acres and is zoned single residence D. It should be noted that the real estate taxes are current through the end of fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Motions in order. And so this one is here over by the Norton border.
Hold on, I want to look at this.
Okay, yep. 28 acres. Augsburg Drive is down here. Can people see what I'm presenting?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And just zoom out a little bit. So mainly wetlands throughout here. And so there was a vote from the Conservation Commission on March 3rd. They voted unanimously in the affirmative to accept the land donation offer of assessor's lot number 5YY on plot number 136, containing a landmass of 28 plus or minus acres. The commission is completely cognizant that the municipal council ultimately has a sole responsibility to accept the land donation on behalf of the city. Given the observations outlined above, the pristine characteristics of the subject property, and given the commission's vote on March 3rd, I specifically recommend that the city consider accepting the 28-acre parcel of real estate. The recommendation is, of course, predicated on all owned municipal charges being paid prior to which they are paid. So again, encourage folks to support this. This one seems to make a lot of sense. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then the last one. Let's see. I entertain a motion that the city accept real estate located off Riverbank Road, plat 41, lot number 102C1 from Alviti Realty Company Incorporated. The subject property contains a landmass of 4.4 plus or minus acres and is zoned general residence C. It should be noted that real estate taxes are current through the end of the fiscal year 2021.
Second.
Motions in order. And so for this one, we're looking at this property here, and this property is tied to the dike and dam where in Councilor Conti was talking about the feasibility study. This is off Riverbank Road here. In out behind this, these are Sterling Lofts right here. Look on Google Maps, Sterling Lofts are right here. And Willett Elementary School is over here. So let me read this, and this is the one that I assume that there may be some discussion on, and especially want to bring this to everyone's attention before we vote this in front of the full council next week to make sure that everyone does their due diligence. So Alviti Realty Company Incorporated approached the city at least 2 years ago, asking the city asking the city to consider accepting the property as a donation. LVD Realty Company, Inc. was also completely transparent about the condition of the dike, although the city was already aware of the situation. The Department of Planning and Development has considered this matter for some time and has expressed its hesitancy about accepting the subject real estate due to the condition of the dike. However, given that LVD Realty Company Incorporated no longer exists, the staff's paramount concern is that without intervention, the dike will further deteriorate and pose a greater risk to residents, businesses, and ecosystem downstream. Therefore, after much consideration and consultation with the Department of Public Works, staff recommends that the city consider accepting the 4.4 acre land donation offer. By doing so, the city will have control over the entire infrastructure system that controls flows and water levels at Mechanics Pond. The staff also envisions a number of passive recreational opportunities should the city accept the land donation. Lastly, staff strongly recommends that the city perform a feasibility study of the infrastructure system that includes both the dam and dike. So this is the feasibility study that Councilor Conti introduced or voted out of committee earlier. The particular piece here is where LVD is no longer in business, and there's concerns that there could be issues to the dike and dam in the future. Is a concern to me. One of the things I was trying to ask Gary Ration about was how much he would anticipate the cost of the city will be to repair or work on these, and he couldn't give me a number, and I don't blame him. That's the whole point of the feasibility study. But one of the things he pointed out was when they did the dam repair over at Dodgeville Pond. That project was $1 million project. He was able to get $880,000 worth of grant money to fund that. And his expectation is this is a much smaller project. Obviously, we'll wait to see what we hear from the feasibility study. But he anticipates this to be a smaller project, and he expects to go after grant money as aggressively as he did in the past. So there's that food for thought. So I'm very supportive of this and encourage the rest of the council to do so, but to do so with a full understanding of what's going on. Councilor Delissio.
Thank you, Todd. I think part of the challenge we're up against is, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to accept this by the end of the fiscal year, correct?
That is correct. Well, their taxes are paid up through the end of the year, so we're encouraged to accept it by the end of the year.
End of the fiscal year or the end of the
fiscal year?
So what I'm saying is, in order to not go through the whole concept of having LVD pay more taxes through
Agreed.
22, it would make sense to accept this now, because let's be honest, it's additional wetlands. It's something that is important to the future of the city, but it also gives time for the feasibility study to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Am I connecting those dots appropriately or accurately?
That is accurate. Yes.
Okay. I just need to make sure I was understanding it.
Councilor Conti.
You're muted, Richard.
So there's two ways of looking at this. In one way, the land abuts recreation land, which would widen that recreation belt around that dike. Mm-hmm. The other way to look at it is that that land should have been transferred to Sterling Loss when Sterling Loss bought that property for $3 million. Because Alvedi is disappearing. If we don't accept it, he's going to disappear anyway. He's not going to pay his taxes. It's going to go into foreclosure. We're going to have to take it anyway for lost taxes. So we're going to wind up with it one way or the other, which means we're going to have full responsibility for that dam and dike, which is going to be very expensive. And that's why Alvedi did what he did to get out of any financial obligations to that dike. There was a big battle way back the last time we went through this. So I don't want to assume that I'm seeing this correctly. I'd like a legal opinion, Todd, on what the liability is of taking this land. That concludes my comments.
Fair enough. I have Councilor Blair next. And then
Did
Councilor
I
Holmes.
understand that we have a responsibility on half of that to start with, Richard?
I think so, Councilor Blair.
Okay, so that's what I understood earlier. So what we're accepting is the responsibility for the other half.
Correct.
And my dealings with Mr. Vitti, they've always been good. You know, and like you said, this land should have gone to the developer that developed that building into apartments in the first place. So I feel it's our responsibility to take care of it, because if that fails and we go through a couple of years of litigation, who knows what the weather's going to be, and that fails, there's going to be some drastic problems downstream. So as soon as we can get that taken care of, I think it's our own advantage, because we're already responsible for half of it.
We're already responsible. My understanding is we're already responsible for the dam. And with this property, we would take responsibility for the dike as well.
Yeah, so we're already in the pool. So let's not sink. Let's get it taken care of. Thank you.
I have Councilor Dolan next, and then Councilor Jackson.
So, I mean, I don't see that we have any choice. I think there's definitely benefits for us to take this, to accept this donation, although it's going to come at a cost, but I think the cost would be higher if we didn't, because we need to make sure the dam and the dike are in good working order, because we know that if it's not and anything happens, it's our residents that will be hurt by it. So I'll support this when it comes to the full council. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Vice President Jackson.
Thank you, Council Cobus. So bottom line is pretty much what Councilor Blair was saying earlier. Even if something went wrong there, no matter what, it's going to be the city that's going to have to clean it up. No matter what, we're going to have to take care of it right away. So yeah, do we want to own the dike? No, not really. But if the choice is that this Mr. Alviti and his corporation isn't going to be existing anymore, I agree with Councilor Conti. We just better take care of it now and just bite our tongues with it. Because I believe if that dam were to let go, dam and dike, I think Riverbank Road would go underwater.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
So we've really got to move on this quickly.
And thank you, Vice President Jackson.
Thank you.
Councilor Conti, can you specify specifically what you're looking for as far as a legal opinion or a question?
Well, I like to go into things eyes wide open. And, while I'm an assessor and I'm a real estate broker and, you're trained on repairing rights, I agree with what I'm hearing from my council. We're stuck. We're going to have to take it. Just like the planning board deliberated a long time on this, because they came to the conclusion, we're stuck. We're going to have to take it. So maybe we shouldn't even bother spending the money on a legal opinion. We're going to have to take it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we take it, the responsibility is 100% ours, which is probably a good thing, because if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. We're not just going to throw a bunch of rocks in there and create a rapids, which is what was done last time. We're going to put in something that is much more considerable, which is going to be much more expensive, but or eliminate it altogether and make that a river, which is what it's supposed to be. So that's all up to the professionals, not us. Our issue is only, should we accept the land? And as you know, when we accept land, we accept all the liabilities of the land, and that dike is a liability, and we're going to have to accept the liability, but I don't see that we have any choice. So save the money, Todd. Don't call the lawyer. Just let's get this done, and You know, maybe the $200,000 we just saved by not doing that feasibility study will go into this feasibility study. That concludes my comments. Conti out.
Thank you, Counselor Conti. No, that makes sense. And also, hopefully everybody remembers this conversation when we discuss the feasibility study and capital improvements as well. So like I said, they're tied together. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That concludes the business for zoning and land use. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 8:27. Thank you, everyone.
License Committee has no business this evening. Thank you.
City Property and Claims Committee has one motion this evening. So I'd like to call to order the committee, City Property and Claims Committee at 8:27. From the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,473.91 from account 1124100-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1124100-587385 citywide retrofit to pay the on-bill payments for 95 Pine Street for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Second.
Thank you. We've spoken about this several times, I think even last year, there was a little that we had to put forth. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but does anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that motion passes, and that is all the business the City Property and Claims Committee has. So I'd like to call for an adjournment for 8:28.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 8:28.
And is a special committee on senior tax having a meeting?
The special committee for senior tax abatement is canceled for tonight.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting this evening.
Thank you, Kate.
All right, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night. Have a good night, everyone.
Enjoy Memorial